Good afternoon, everyone. As a 4-year-old, I remember being fascinated by the concept of real life. I saw so many incredible things in movies and on TV that I wondered how many of those things actually happened in real life. Those exciting dogfights in the movie Top Gun, did they happen in real life? Those cool gadgets that Batman uses to fight off the villains, did they exist in real life? But it wasn't just the cool and exciting things that made me question what was fantasy and what was reality. I also watched news reports of children who were starving, refugees who were living in fly-infested quarters, people who were suffering from terrible diseases. As a kid growing up in a middle-class family, I remember thinking, that's way too horrible to happen in real life, right? Since then, I've had the opportunity to travel to many poverty-stricken areas. And on a few occasions, I did some community work there too. These areas were in countries including Belize, China, Egypt, India, Peru, and Poland. It was in these places that I saw children who looked like walking skeletons, people who didn't have clean water to drink, beggars who intentionally cut off their arms and legs so people would have more compassion and give them more money. These experiences made me realize that very horrible things do indeed happen in real life. But at the same time, I felt pretty detached from all this suffering because I knew that soon enough I would be back in my comfortable home, living my comfortable life. And I felt guilty. Maybe you felt the same way too. I'm an international student from Singapore, and I came to America to attend college 4 years ago. I know I'm generalizing here, but I think Americans are really optimistic people. I love that about Americans. Most Americans believe that with the right plan and the right attitude and the right team, anything is possible. Most Americans ask, how can I? Much more often than they ask, can I? I think this attitude is summed up by President Obama's 2008 campaign slogan, yes, we can. I'm a huge fan of this attitude because it is one of hope, and without hope, there can be no real progress. But there's all this chaos and suffering going on in the world today, and the causes are often extremely complex. So sometimes I would like to think, yes, we can, but it seems like the truth of the matter is no. At the present moment, we really cannot. So I was troubled. On one hand, I believed in the yes, we can mindset. But on the other, I was confronted with the no, we cannot reality of life. No, we cannot seems so realistic and pragmatic, while yes, we can argues that no, we cannot is really defeatism masquerading as pragmatism. Yes, we can epitomizes idealism, while no, we cannot epitomizes realism. Or at least, that's how it seems. Today, I want to reconcile yes, we can idealism with no, we cannot realism. I believe there is such a thing as realistic idealism. Realistic idealism says that yes, we can and no, we cannot are really two sides of the same coin. And that coin is our humanity. Most of us here today have been blessed with many resources and opportunities, and we want to give back to society. We often think of this giving back in terms of how we're going to change the world, or make an impact, or alleviate poverty, or add value to the economy. These are noble aims, but I think they are slightly misguided. We often talk as if people are just another project we need to work on, or even worse, a problem we need to solve. On the contrary, realistic idealism is about seeing people first and foremost as people. Being poor should not define you as a person, and neither should being rich, or being smart, or being talented. But it often does. For example, if someone is extremely poor, their lack of resources is often the one thing that dominates the way we view them. I know you might be thinking, what a load of nonsense. If someone lacks the basic necessities of life, shouldn't that be the first thing we try to provide them with? Isn't it kind of ridiculous to focus on their humanity when what they really need are resources? I used to think that same way too, until I did some community work in the Navajo Nation, which is the largest Native American reservation in the US. The Navajo people face many difficulties, and 40% of them live below the poverty line. When we asked Navajo community leaders what we could do for them, they had a pretty interesting response. They said, "You don't have to do anything for us. Just come here and learn about our culture, learn about our history, learn about who we are as people." It's important to realize that we as human beings want to be understood before we want to be helped. We want to be seen as people rather than as objects of need, even if we have lots and lots of needs. As people with resources, we like to ask questions like, can we fix the situation? Can we solve the problem? Can we provide the answer? But realistic idealism says that the way forward is to focus on our collective humanity. Yes, alleviating poverty and building great businesses and eradicating social injustice are wonderful goals. But we have to remember that at the end of the day, it is less about changing the world than it is about touching a life. It is less about providing people with what they need or what we think they need than it is about forming a real connection with them. Dr. Sam Wells, Dean of the Duke Chapel, once said, "Poverty is not out there. Poverty is within us." At the heart of it, poverty is not about the lack of resources. It is about the alienation of relationships. We will only be able to build a better world when we see the humanity in every single person. When we stop thinking in terms of I and me, or us and them, and start thinking in terms of we. Today, let's make a commitment to see people as people, not as projects or as problems. Yes, we can. Thank you.